by, what would it be, about 150 miles or something to that effect. My name's Nathan Foy. I'm joined by the Skype team this hour, consisting of Craig, Lee, David and Nathan Bell.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening.
And the scene continues to develop.
I say evening, that's the time here in the UK. Still afternoon on the Florida coast, and what do you reckon the situations are there, looking at the... it's a bit blustery on the image there.
Very blustery. I would say
Definitely.
it's probably tropical storm winds, possibly.
Could be getting close.
Yeah. Definitely getting close.
That's why I
Probably
possibly
40.
advise people who are standing outside FDI.
None there.
No, good. Because if they were, I'd advise them to seriously take shelter immediately.
Craig, remind us what the warnings are, if I may.
The warnings, if I can get them, here we go. Major Hurricane Matthew, and the warnings are: hurricane warnings are still remain in effect for the northernmost Bahamas Islands. Tropical storm warnings remain in effect for some of the Florida Keys area and the south coast of Florida. Tropical storm watches remain, or tropical storm watch remains in effect for the Tampa Bay area, and a tropical storm watch remains in effect for the north of the Tampa Bay area. Hurricane warnings remain in effect for the west coast, well, east coast, should I say, not west coast. For the east coast of Florida, right up through Georgia and into South Carolina, and where there is a hurricane watch also in effect for South Carolina. That is all the warnings at the minute.
Yep. The latest from the National Hurricane Center at this hour. A NOAA station at Settlement Point on Grand Bahama recently reported a sustained wind of 47 miles per hour and a wind gust of 55. A National Ocean Service station at Lake Worth Pier in Florida recently reported a sustained wind of 38 miles per hour and a wind gust of 45 miles per hour.
So getting close to low-end tropical storms. Winds are low.
And the official pressure on the National Hurricane Center is 938.
Why is that?
Hmm?
Why did they put it down to 938?
They might put it down further yet.
Well, the drop zone did record 936. And that was in the eye.
Indeed. So we'll wait and see on that one.
When's the advisory coming out? When's the
That's
Over
new
in about
advisory?
an hour's time.
That's at the end of this hour. And they'll be doing that.
That will be very interesting. I would like to see if that cone has changed some. If they think that it's going to go more north. Because it's looking like it could do more the north track, but still I do think it's going to impact Florida, just not as much on South Florida.
Typing going on over there.
David will be for 3 minutes.
The silence is deafening. Radar imagery depicts that this original eye was trying to re-strengthen. In terms of rain bands, that is. Be interesting to see what this latest advisory comes out with, but the National the Hurricane Hunters are still saying that they're, well, I have found Cat 4 forced winds. But I am willing to try and see what they're doing.
So there's the latest radar imagery showing the storm again continuing towards the north. I'm going to try and get back the camera from Lauderdale by the Sea, but at the moment it doesn't appear that we can right now.
Even though this center of the hurricane's not hitting Florida right now, the flood potential is is through the roof. It's still through the roof.
There's the view again from downtown Miami. That's an elevated position, but certainly raining a lot over there, it would appear. And the situation could get worse yet.
And just to reiterate that there is a
there's a what?
That RAM is down.
Oh right, that's one of the websites that Craig uses.
Yes, it always likes to break when there's something big happening.
Maybe it's deliberate.
You
know?
I'd like RAM to explain.
Okay, if you've got any questions or comments for us, start your message with Force 13 and we'll get back to you. I don't believe there are any questions right now. We do know that there are several thousand power outages already in southeastern Florida, and we will get the latest periodically on that as well. There's the latest webcam from downtown Miami. I think that might be looking north. But certainly a very wet camera, and now it's rattling a little bit. Must be getting breezy, windy at that high elevation. Possibly the tropical storm force up there, and that will extend to lower levels very soon. Miami under a tropical storm warning, and those conditions will probably make themselves known pretty soon.
Or if this hurricane keeps on heading towards Freeport, those conditions may just stay in the 50 and 40 mile an hour range instead of the 60 and 70 mile an hour range. But nothing's guaranteed.
Maybe. I'm having real trouble with everything going on the technical side of things today, so things could go poof very quickly.
And you have the capacity for the screen sharing side either.
Indeed.
Okay, storm surge area north of Miami, 1 to 3 feet. Slightly south of West Palm Beach, up to Melbourne, 4 to 6 feet. South of Melbourne to Daytona Beach, 7 to 11 feet. Through Jacksonville, Savannah, Charleston, then it drops to 4 to 6 feet north of Charleston, and 3/4 from Charleston to Myrtle Beach. So area south of Melbourne through to Savannah, 7 to 11 feet storm surge forecast.
Do you want to read out those rainfall totals as well, if you've got them?
Give me a couple of minutes on that one. So as we've been saying, storm surge. I haven't got the time of the high tide. I've been monitoring during the break one of the TV networks, Nathan, and it's definitely a low tide. And CNN's reporting all Disney World parks properties will be closed by 5 p.m. local time. But that was 3 hours ago, so What's the local time over there now?
It's 4 p.m. there.
4 p.m. So 1 hour, and all Walt Disney properties will close.
So, in the meantime, Craig, any more news from the Hurricane Hunter planes?
Not as of yet, but I'm just gonna have a quick update. See what's happening. Everything's running slow. The RAM's is running slow. National Hurricane Center website's running slow. Then again, with the National Hurricane Center website running slow, I'm not really surprised because everyone's want to see the latest.
Craig, is there any chance you could have a look for the NCEP heat, ocean heat content chart?
Not at this precise moment, David, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Because that's the one that's on RAM and RAM's not working. And there's no recent update from from the recon plane, and it's just heading away from it. So I reckon I'll be getting ready to do a turn. That's all from the from the Hurricane Hunters at the minute.
It looks like storm surge is not too bad from Melbourne south right now, but Melbourne north, that's where we could see some better storm surges. I mean, yes, I do think we'll see some waves and stuff, but like I said, like we have said at Force 13, if this hurricane keeps going more towards Freeport, it could kind of spare South Florida a little bit. Not citing the flood threat.
Yeah.
The flood threat is still there, no matter
Certainly
what.
rainfall coming through right now, that's for sure. And those
But the
blustery winds,
winds,
which are just shy of
not
tropical storm
strong.
force.
And Nathan, just looking at the ocean heat content chart, and a massive amount of black along the Florida coast. And what's the potential for Matthew to become a Cat 5 again?
Well, not that high, I wouldn't have thought. But anything is possible.
For me, seeing it doing an eyewall replacement, I'll put that right down to 0 to 5%. And also looking at there's apparently 2 planes out there. I think that's one heading towards Nicole, which is North 49, which is a bit strange. But the North WP3D recon is now during a turn. I've got a live recon flight tracker. I'm just going to send a link to it via the chat.
And while you do that, Craig, just a posting, although it's 4 hours old, Matthew has now been a major hurricane for 6 days, the most by an Atlantic hurricane forming after September 25 in over 50 years, and in brackets, Flora, 1963.
I think
The one that's at Nicole's and upper level, which is the North P40 North 40. That's at level.
it will continue to be a major hurricane for at least the next couple of days, and then go down to just a hurricane and then a tropical storm.
So you're looking at the radar
Quite a bit of
imagery
doing.
right now. If you've got any questions for us, start your message with Force 13 and we'll try and get to you, technical difficulties permitting. Will the storm affect phone signal and internet? Well, if it's going to affect power outages, then yes, it probably will affect those things too. Let's see, I don't think... nothing else right now. And over to whoever wants to speak next.
And for those that have got a mobile telephone device, put it on charge now while you've got the electricity.
Definitely.
if you have a radio available, make sure you have batteries, or if it's a chargeable one, make sure you have that at full power, or at least have a backup source of radio transmission to try and get the latest updates from the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service, because a radio to get the latest updates is practically the chance of your lifeline, really, to know what's happening with Matthew. Because if anyone's literally if anyone's thinking that they're out of the woods, no one's out of the woods yet. No one is out of the woods. This is far from over. To be honest, this is only just the beginning. Haiti, if you look what happened to Haiti, I mean, Haiti did not come off lightly. Not only just because the housing structure wasn't strong enough, but you've got to look at it. It was 145 made landfalls, completely made a mess of the place, and also with Cuba. Now you're looking at Florida, the Bahamas. Yes, it got high-end Cat 3, possible low-end Cat 4, maybe mid-range Cat 4. I mean, looking at it, the Bahamas look like they're in an absolute mess, man. The trees are anyway, if anything, anything to go by. But I know there's going to be structural damage, possibly. But Florida, they are possibly just in the beginning of a major event here, and a possible very big hurricane event. So no one's out of the woods yet. So make sure you have charged up batteries on your phone, fresh batteries if you don't have a rechargeable radio. Make sure, literally, it's not about really having internet, but if your internet does stay up, try use it as much as you can. Try to stay up to date with Matthew, especially in terms of movement, direction, wind speeds, air pressure. And if you wanted, you could check on Tropical Tidbits for the latest recon, if there is anything. If you wanted to see how to get there, just type in Tropical Tidbits into your search bar, and then click on Tropical Tidbits numerical is it? Numerical. Just gonna try and go back to the search area. Numerical prediction models. Click on that one, and then when you come onto the page, it should say at the top search bar. Not search bar. Little option bar with home, current storm info, aircraft recon, which is the third along. You want that one if you're going to try and check for recon missions. Or if you want forecast models, click on obviously the fourth one along, which says forecast models. That's Tropical Tidbits if you wanted to use it, if your internet does remain up for, during the storm, or or before it goes down. So try and use anything to the best of your abilities during any Wi-Fi that stays up during Matthew or before Matthew. So Matthew, no one's out of the woods yet. And Ram has completely died.
Maybe your internet's going.
No, my internet ain't going. Ram's completely going.
Okay,
Oh, hang on. Yes, Ram's alive!
Oh, good.
It's a miracle! Ram is back from the dead!
Now you can see some rainfall reaching the Tampa Bay area by the looks of things. A line of rain that's going to be felt there very soon, and all those coastal areas of western Florida, the Gulf Coast. We'll start to feel some rainfall from Tampa southwards.
Not extreme rainfall, but it is rainfall nonetheless.
It could be squally at the least.
Oh yeah.
Definitely squally.
I have to watch these.
There's the view from
Especially
what is virtually
to
the closest camera to the hurricane right now, closest one that I can get hold of anyway. That's in North Miami Beach area.
You can't get Freeport City cam.
I doubt there are any. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll strike lucky here.
Over in the chat, I live in Daytona on the other side of the Halifax River. is my house in danger for a huge storm surge? Irvin, stay tuned. Storm surge possible. So it's just a matter. If you've got the local high tide time, just post it in the room and we'll transmit it.
Just repeat the question again there.
Okay. Just got to go back.
Oh, huh.
So I live in Daytona on the other side of the Halifax River. Is my house in danger for a huge storm surge too?
Well, I don't know which side he means. If it's the side that's next to the Atlantic Ocean, then there could be serious concerns. If it's the other side, then obviously you're a bit more protected, but there still could be some significant issues, and definitely hurricane force winds are a big possibility for the whole Daytona Beach area, all along that area. So something that really needs to be watched for, and preparations need to be finished, and hunkering down during tomorrow morning and during the day tomorrow. Daytona Beach will probably not feel all that much from the storm until tomorrow morning. Probably
Just
early
to
hours
reiterate
as
here,
well.
Nathan.
Probably early hours.
Just to reiterate here on the latest radar on Matthew, and you are not going to believe this, Matthew is saying no to this eyewall replacement. He is fighting it yet again. His original eyewall on radar has now joined up with his new one, which he's now starting to kill. I have never known a hurricane like Matthew to even bother fighting his new eyewall. I can't even name a hurricane that's bothered even fighting an eyewall replacement, unlike Matthew. Rain bands around the eyewall really have intensified. They're now starting to be, they're really getting into the reds now around the original eyewall. This could put Matthew maybe up to 145 miles per hour. Might not, might keep him the same. But it'll be interesting to see what we see from the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center at this point in time.
Coming up soon.
But
We're joined by Devon.
Yes, hello. I'm still trying to get all data ready yet, so I'm not exactly ready to hop into the call.
Oh. Craig, continue.
Well, they were starting to get red strength rain bands within the eye, or the original eye at least. And it's starting to join up with itself and killing the old one. Well, killing the new one at least. What could be going by the latest frame. But that'll probably explain, might explain the recent jog, might explain it, that it's starting to turn around that starting to turn backwards. It could be that the storm's starting to kill itself. It might do, because storms that fight eyewall replacement cycles, it doesn't normally end well for them. But it might not, might benefit from it, but then again, we've seen that do it 2 times at least now, and basically be up and down like a yo-yo. So it's basically, hey mate, this is another thing that made Matthew an absolute nightmare to track. Still making Matthew an absolute nightmare to track is that he's constantly fighting eyewall, and he's fighting an eyewall replacement. So that's basically off in the radar at the minute, but I'll let you know as soon as there's anything changed.
A tornado
Very
warning
clearly,
remains in effect. A tornado warning until 4 o'clock Central Time for southwestern Elk and northern Chautauqua counties, I believe it is. At 3:20, a severe thunderstorm capable-producing tornado was located near Cedar Vale, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. The dangerous storm will be near Granola at around 3:40 and Moline at around 3:50.
Is that Kansas?
Yes, that's right. Devon was next. Over to you.
Yep, I'm just pulling up radar out of Melbourne. and you can definitely see the clearly defined concentric eye wall pattern to this storm. Obviously, this storm is expected to pass very near to, or maybe even over, the Melbourne area. So this is probably going to be probably going to be our best radar image once the storm gets closer in. Obviously, this is just the long-range imagery, and you can definitely see how far out the storm is. And as the storm gets closer, we might be able to see really what's going on in the inner cornice. But definitely prevalent concentric eye walls, and boy, on the inner eye wall, the western part of the eye wall still doesn't look good. And I think that's been the key for 3 days now.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting thing about this storm, though, is that the pressure at least still appears to be falling. I think it's in the mid-930s now on the latest recon. 935 or 6. I can't exactly remember which.
You're not far off there, but you got the 936.
935, 936.
Yeah, Recon's got 936 latest drops on. I don't know if there's been any more. I'm just gonna update.
938 at 7 knots on that one, so that would suggest somewhere around 936. And this is not in the eye. Although that does show 130 mile/hour winds at the surface, and that's dropped in the northeastern eye wall, so maybe the storm might not be producing the 140 mile/hour winds anymore.
Oh, you
Boy,
think
I
so?
gotta say, this thing... Boy, I gotta say, though, this storm definitely teased a rapid intensification phase overnight, and it just did not happen. And it's not looking good on satellite at all. Looking very interesting on radar, though, and I don't see any reason why this storm will weaken or necessarily strengthen either as it moves up on off to the northwest or north-northwest. Continuing to parallel the coast here of Florida, just like it has over the past hour or two.
Yes, indeed. And Devon, well, what do you think about its direction right now? Moving a little bit east of forecast?
I can see that it does appear to have taken a northward jog there in the past hour.
Who's making all that noise?
You can kind of see the extrapolated motion going this way, and it just moves to the right of my cursor there. So maybe moving off to the right a little bit. It's obviously still expected to pass very close to Fort Pierce, Melbourne, Daytona Beach, and all of that. Then curve along the Georgia-Carolina coast, and after that, I still don't think the models know what's going to be going on with the storm. And I don't think they ever will.
And what do you think about this loop scenario? It's looking more likely than not.
It is now all of a sudden, oh wow. It's looking 60-40 looking at these models now. And
yeah, we don't have them on the screen, unfortunately, but yeah.
Talk us through them whilst we look at
talk us through them whilst we look at this webcam from
and it's developing
Coconut Grove.
Yes. Basically, I would probably say about 60% of the models here are pretty much just taking this thing in a loop, cutting it towards Florida, and then paralleling the coast, and then it gets to probably a little bit south of Myrtle Beach, and then turns due east towards Bermuda. So you would think naturally most storms would go out towards Bermuda, right? No, not this one, because this storm's just defied all logic since Tau 1. No, this storm turns back to the south, maybe a Gene-esque loop there, and then turn back to the south and west But the key thing is that when it makes that turn back to the south and west, the models are expecting it to be much, much weaker in its current intensity. You can see them kind of a model consensus. These guys are all well above here, so kind of a model consensus, maybe being a little bit higher than this, maybe being a strong tropical storm, minimal Cat 1 by the time it completes that route.
What do you think about, can we say that anywhere is in the clear right now from the storm in Florida? I mean, Key West probably, the rest of the Keys pretty soon.
Key West, let me switch to the Miami radar. That'll probably give us a better idea.
Yeah, we've already got it here on the screen.
Exactly how these are getting affected. Key West, it does seem like Key West and the Tortugas are in the clear for now. It looks like Marathon Key is just on the edge of the rain bands right now.
Yeah.
But it does appear actually that there are some special marine warnings off the western coast of Florida, and that might be traveling southward towards the Keys. That might be interesting to see as time goes on. But this storm's obviously only going to move northward, and likely those areas are going to be getting better quicker rather than worse. Also, I'd probably say that conditions probably aren't going to get too much worse in the Key Largo area unless this storm takes a significant jog west. They're not in the clear, obviously, but I don't see conditions getting too much worse in that area. And also, again, unless this storm really takes a jog to the west, Miami shouldn't be getting too much worse of a condition this moment either.
I'm looking at the webcam now on Miami Beach. It's looking only a little bit breezy. I don't know how far from the coast this is, but it mustn't be more than a block or two. And only a little bit breezy. It's exposed coastal locations at the moment that seem to be getting winds gusting near, or sustained in one or two places near tropical storm force. So, do you think Miami will be okay?
That's what I would about expect for the storm in this position.
I reckon that they may well be okay wind-wise, but maybe some heavy rain might cause some local issues, maybe.
Yes, heavy rain, nuanced flooding, obviously those are always issues in Miami. Even if the tide rises a foot more than normal, it can put a significant amount of the coastal region of Miami underwater. So, obviously that is a very fragile area of Florida. I don't know if you've seen some of the news articles come out of Miami, but even without a hurricane, they gotta pump water out of the city constantly just because of the nuanced flooding there. So they're obviously not out of the clear from that, but wind effects doesn't appear that it's going to get too much worse. The hurricane force winds, which are probably confined to that outer eye wall and inside of the outer eye wall. So it looks like those are going to stay well off the Miami coast. I wouldn't necessarily put Fort Lauderdale in the clear, and certainly nothing to the north of West Palm Beach and Boca Raton. Those areas are probably still under fire for hurricane force conditions.
And looking at the latest imagery from North Miami Beach, I believe. Looking pretty windy. I'm not sure if you're able to see the stream from where you are, Devon, but
Nope.
What sort of wind speeds would you suggest those are? The trees blowing about, maybe near tropical storm force gusts.
Certainly tropical storm force gusts. I would imagine those would be occurring with the storm being right there. I would imagine tropical storm force gusts, and they're probably going to be higher as you keep on moving north. Like if you take a look at Fort Lauderdale, I imagine that tropical storm force winds are at least sustained there. And I'd be very surprised if they aren't.
Yeah,
And
we've
the
been
National
trying to
Hurricane
get to
Load.
there for a while, but no success so far. We had Fort Lauderdale earlier today, but we lost that stream, and we'll be looking for more here. But the storm's northwestern side still not looking great, is it?
On infrared, I would agree with you. Not looking good at all.
It's
Again,
not
this-
looking great at all, especially the north side.
Yeah, it's not the best looking system right now, and this thing has never been the best looking system. It just continues to tease, trying to say, "Hey, I'm a strong Cat 4. Hey, I might even be a Cat 5," and it just doesn't get there, and it continues to do so. And I think that Matthew is just being an absolutely amazing troll. I mean, I gotta admit though, the long-range forecasting of this storm has been excellent thus far. Saying that this storm was going to take this abrupt turn through Haiti, move to the north, and then move towards Florida. That's been great, spot on. What it's going to do after that is obviously up to much speculation, and I imagine that any kind of small little shift in the storm's track can mean big differences, whether it curves back to the south or curves out to sea. I think that's still up to debate. But yeah, this storm is, well, definitely looks further to the east than what the forecast said it was going to be yesterday. So that's always a good thing. Not good news for the Bahamas, obviously. It looks like Grand Bahama there just missed a landfall. Same thing with Nassau. And now it's moving over towards that northernmost island.
Yeah, that is Grand Bahama.
Oh, the northernmost island is Grand Bahama, so that must have been Andros that it just missed then.
Yeah.
Getting those two confused.
mean, it
Again, not
sort
good
of is
news for the
Grand, that
Bahamas.
one further south. Anyway.
The Bahamas have really taken a rough hit here from Matthew. Just about all the islands experiencing at least tropical storm force winds, and most of them experiencing hurricane force conditions. So it's been a little bit of a rough ride for the Bahamas over the past 48 hours, I would say, ever since it coming out of Haiti. Which, by the way, I think the body count in Haiti is up to around 160 now, isn't it?
Is it?
The last number I saw, I thought it was like 140, 150, 160, something like that.
Not good.
No, and we knew that it wasn't going to be good for Haiti, and obviously that number's only going to rise as time goes on. Plus, also, there's going to be tons of people reported missing, just like with any other natural disaster in that country. So, obviously, very bad situation in Haiti. There's the city of Harame, which I think there was a helicopter flew over that city and only 1% of the buildings were even standing. Like, this storm came in and leveled everything in Haiti, pretty much, which is really sad to think of. Luckily, as long as it keeps tracking the way that it does, it's going to stay far enough off the coast of Florida where it doesn't onto land. And if it does that, that is excellent. Excellent news.
Right now, you're looking
Again,
at a webcam
Go
from a bit further north in Hillsborough, on the Florida East Coast, and it's looking a little bit gusty there as well.
That's a big wave coming in. That's a pretty big wave coming in.
There's a few
yes,
waves
the
out there.
waves are definitely going to be very high with this system. Don't be surfing, please.
The only thing you should be surfing is the net.
I wouldn't even be doing that. I would make sure that I was 100% safe within all the evacuation orders, in an interior, sturdy room, and then maybe I'll think about surfing the internet within this storm. But yeah, and
Hello.
can easily bring the hurricane force conditions over land in Florida, and that will obviously be a very, very bad thing.
That's right, and Adam is here as well.
It's Adam, yeah.
Welcome aboard.
All right, how is everyone?
Fine.
Hey, Adam.
Good, good. How is everyone in Florida? I hope everyone in Florida is preparing or finished preparing and is hunkering down. If not, do so immediately.
Certainly
Most
seems like that's the
definitely.
case.
Yes, and just to remind people, so far there's over 7,000 customers without electricity in Miami-Dade County, nearly 2,000 in Broward County, and over 3,000 in Palm Beach County. Those are the latest figures.
Already?
And more
Yeah.
likely to come.
Yeah. Especially further up the coast.
Yeah, well, it's still not really made its impacts felt up the coast yet. It's still closest in proximity to sort of the Miami area, a little bit further north now. Fort Lauderdale probably is its closest point.
Exactly. And it should be noted that this storm is not a large one. It's a very small system. Hurricane force winds very compact to the center. I believe they only extend out 45 miles. And the tropical storm force winds barely extend out 150. So that is very small.
I have to say though, Devon,
But not to diminish the effects of the storm, a lot of damage could occur within that 40 odd miles of the hurricane force,
obviously.
and even in the tropical storm force winds, a lot of damage can happen in that. So
and recently it's been looking like it's been trending north. It's actually gone back towards the northwest again, so it's back on course, you might want to say.
Yeah,
so that's
probably
gonna watch really closely.
It's probably gonna continue wiggling through the Bahamas here, trying to avoid land interaction as much as possible, like good hurricanes do, and it'll probably cut back to the west here rather quickly.
Yep,
Might put
and
that island there.
This storm decided that it didn't want to check any of the girls out in Bahamas. Its big girl is Florida, and Matthew wanted to go check her out.
Oh dear.
Oh my goodness.
You're welcome. We need to lighten the mood a little bit here. We don't want to be all gloom and doom here.
Well, I'll let the viewers decide that.
Yeah. We're all future meteorologists. Don't worry about that. We're all future meteorologists.
That was funny, Adam.
Okay, we're not saying that this is complete doom for the Florida coastline. Haiti, yes. Florida, probably not. It's a much stricter building code. Obviously, if you're in a trailer or a poorly constructed grandfather's house.
Nicole, I have to say. Nicole has strengthened. It's now 85 miles per hour. And the Category 1
has been for a little while.
Pulling that number from?
And it has been a hurricane for a while now, and it should have been mentioned a little bit earlier. But yes, Nicole is indeed a hurricane.
Oh, we mentioned it when it came out, a long time ago. And I believe...
Just making sure.
I believe the latest forecast says something interesting, but I can't confirm that yet.
Well, I think since the start of Nicole, it's been saying something interesting. It's never really been clear-cut with Nicole, to be honest.
Okay, well, apparently Nicole's a hurricane. I'm trying to
peak at 90 miles an hour.
Oh, now this is interesting. If you look at its forecast track, it's actually predicting Nicole to be a hurricane for a second time on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to pull up any kind of infrared imagery, and boy, the NOAA servers are just not agreeing with me.
It's going to be kind of hard to pull up any good IR data on this because you got to understand that Nicole is indeed a very small hurricane at that.
Well, so is Matthew, obviously.
But not as small as Nicole, though. Nicole is smaller.
Just off the screen. Nicole's just off of this image.
Yes, Nicole is quite
north and
small,
east.
Adam. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Nicole
Nicole
is
is
just
small.
off to the north and
One at a
east
time.
here of Matthew, obviously. Just
Sorry,
outside of the area of influence of Matthew as of right now. It'll be interesting to see how Matthew and Nicole interact over the next few days, probably contributing to that loop in Nicole's weird, erratic, stalling track, which...
Yes, both of them are supposed to interact with each other, which will induce both of them to have some really interesting tracks ahead.
Bottom line, though, Nicole's not expected to make any kind of land impacts in the next 3 days. Matthew is. So,
Yep.
Matthew is creating land impacts right now. So,
Yep.
back to Matthew, anyways.
And we're looking at the webcam right now from Hillsborough, and I believe coming up in the not too distant future, as in the next few minutes, the International Space Station will be flying over Matthew again, and we'll be showing you the coverage of that as it occurs as well from NASA
Yeah,
TV.
Jason's around now, so.
So stay
What
tuned
about
for
the
that pretty
hurricane
soon.
advisory? What about that advisory that's coming out?
Yeah,
Here in
it's
a few
still yet
minutes.
to arrive.
It came. Wait,
Matthew.
which advisory that is?
The 5 p.m. advisory, that's likely not going to
It
come
is-
out until the
it is
recon
out.
passes through the eye
Is it?
here,
Is
which
it?
it's about to do.
Nicole's
is
came
out.
out and Matthew's was due any time. If you've got the information, go right ahead.
I've only got the
Oh,
4
okay, never
PM
mind.
stuff here.
That's the 4 p.m. stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just... Yeah.
That one's due out in about 10 minutes, I think.
Anytime now.
It'll be coming right now. Right now, the recon data is right outside of the eye, and that's going to be coming out either this minute or the very next minute. And once the drop
Sure.
zone data comes through, the NHC will probably put out what their update is.
Mhm.
And we'll keep you up to date on that and any tornado activity as well in Kansas. We've already had a few tornado warnings, and there might be more to come.
Mhm.
Kansas
And-
is
Yeah.
expected to have a very severe,
Something
well, not a very severe, but definitely a severe tornado outbreak today. So we got a couple of weather events colliding, as usual. Well, at least there's not a super typhoon in the West Pacific disrupting the coverage of Matthew this time. Hopefully, mostly unadulterated coverage on Hurricane Matthew will continue.
And if
Yes.
you've got any comments for us whilst
Also,
we're on the air,
I-
do send them in, and I'd like someone to be able to monitor those for a little while whilst I'm busy with other things on the screen. I can't get to the comments, but go ahead.
Yes, and also just mentioning that the Caribbean Weather Desk will also be doing live streaming broadcast. I would also be simulcasting this broadcast as well in a couple of hours. We'll be starting that up, and if you want, you could also be watching on there. But either way, same information. There may be a little bit more discussion and so on as well. So yes, look out for that in
And,
a couple of hours.
Didn't notice this 3 hours ago, but they actually reduced that tropical disturbance near the Bahamas to, that's not the Bahamas, the Barbados to nil.
The Barbados.
0%.
Yeah. I do expect that to kick up once again once this thing is about Central Caribbean. Nothing's really gonna go with this system until it gets past the Eastern Caribbean, Central Caribbean. By that time, Matthew and Nicole will be much further to the north and a little less impacts. Maybe impacts a little later on, later next week with impacts with Matthew and the system kind of interacting with each other. But I'll be discussing that a little bit later on, as the main event for today and for the next couple of days will be Matthew.
Okay, well, if anyone's got any latest information about Matthew right now, David, you've been monitoring the wires?
The South Carolina Emergency Management Team are now operational. I will bring some updated
I've got to cut across you there,
information.
David. The advisory is out. A hurricane warning has been extended northwards to South Sante River, South Carolina. And a tropical storm warning has been issued from north of South Sante River to Surf City, North Carolina. The government of the Bahamas has discontinued the hurricane warning for the central Bahamas, and its intensity remains the same at 140 miles per hour.
Have they changed the cone? Have they
that
changed
will happen in a few minutes' time.
Stand by. Yeah, because I haven't even gotten the advisory yet. Stand by. Yes. Okay, I've got it now.
Yeah, I just got it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really look like there's too much change with the cone, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. It's still pulling it towards land.
Which is what I would expect. I wouldn't expect anything different. As I've mentioned before, I do expect this to be much closer to land than what people think. I do expect a landfall in the early part, as well as a landfall to come on the secondary part when it loops around.
And we're just getting towards the end of the hour. I'm not seeing anything yet from the International Space Station stream, so I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but
One camera is off, and it's only the forward one operational.
I see.
Ooh.
Well, we'll see if we
Okay.
can get it, but if not, we'll always be able to acquire it eventually, and we would show it to you at some point. But I'm sure they'll get a interesting view. In fact, I believe we should be able to have it at any time on the screen now. I'm led to believe. But until then, you can see the latest from Florida.
Okay, both are operational.
The cone for the 5 p.m., the extended 5-day range is extended a bit more towards the southwest.
What do you mean by that?
When the storm flips around and heads back towards Florida, the cone is shifted a little bit more south and west. So the storm goes northwest, east, then south, then southwest. All pretty much almost the exact same position to where the system is now, just slightly northeast by 5 days.
Interesting. Well, we still don't have any view from the